Hey y'all, I'm Jerica Brachet, and for those of you that don't know, I am a betrayal trauma coach and I help women to navigate life after unfortunately dealing with the devastation of being cheated on, aka infidelity and betrayal. And I help them to navigate healing that pain and to attract better relationships in their future. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, I want to quickly break down the second phase of my 5 phases of healing process. And in case you have not seen the first video, this process is basically the method that I use in my coaching programs, sort of as a roadmap to recovery to help my clients get from a not so good place into a much better space. So if you have not watched phase one, recognition, I definitely recommend that you go ahead and head over to that video first, just so that you have some context. I've got a reminder here on the screen so that I can remember to tell y'all that. So, all right, let's get started on this thing, y'all. Phase two of my 5 phases of healing method is processing. Okay. And the processing phase is all about understanding what your emotions are trying to tell you. So, processing emotions is a huge theme for phase two of my process. And there's two things that we're going to focus on, that I focus on in my program, and that we will sort of break down in today's video. So, we're going to discuss processing emotions, and how that encapsulates examining them, questioning them so that you can fully understand them. And we'll also talk about how you need to have self awareness through emotional literacy and emotional intelligence, and how that's really important for honesty and for emotional health. All right. So, what does it even mean to process your emotions? Like, what am I saying? If you watched the first video, you already know where I am with the etymology. So, here we go. Okay. So, looking at the etymology of the word process can mean a journey, right? It's a course or method of actions, continuous and regular series of actions meant to accomplish some result. So when I say process your emotions, I am referring to a regular, continuous series of actions that you will need to take in order to get a certain result. Okay. And I also mean it in the terms of being a journey. Okay. Processing your emotions is a journey, and it's a non-linear one. It's not something that you just learn to do overnight. Trust me. But essentially, our emotions are messengers. I like to think of them like notifications that you get on your phone, right? So when you get a notification on your phone, the only way to clear it is to open it up, right? And that's a part of what processing emotions is all about. It's about opening it up and basically decoding whatever message that particular emotion has for you. So I've got on the screen here, you can see the personified emotions from the Disney Pixar movie Inside Out. I love that movie. If you have not seen it, I definitely recommend you watch it. It's funny and it's lighthearted, but it gives a nice example. It's a nice representation of what it's like to be experiencing these seemingly different emotions in the same body, and how that affects you by how it shows up in your life. Okay, so let's get into the self awareness piece. Okay, self awareness and honesty. So, one of the biggest benefits to cultivating emotional literacy and emotional intelligence is the fact that we can catch ourselves in the lies that we tell ourselves when we have emotional literacy and emotional intelligence. And here's what I mean by that. Um, when we are in tune with our emotions, then we are effectively receiving their messages. So we're aware of their presence, and then we can decode the message that it has for us. And this is a good thing. We need it because our emotions help to get our needs met. They help to tell us what it is that we need. And so they sort of act like this internal GPS system that reflects to us what's going on internally, what's going on our internal landscape, right? And so we can trust that what is being reflected back to us is the truth and the honest ways that we're feeling about any given situation or about any given thing. So let me break that down a little bit more. When you've experienced infidelity and betrayal, I've had hundreds of conversations with women. A lot of times, women will say, "Oh, no, I'm fine. It's no big thing. It's hot girl summer. There's more fish in the sea. There's better fish in the sea. Bump them. I'm good, and all of that." So the mind can tell you those things. You can say those things to yourself, but your emotions are going to reflect the truth. Okay. And that is why we can trust our emotions, and we can trust that the messages they have for us are 100% accurate. And you may be wondering, well, how? Like, how do we know we can trust them? Well, in my opinion, I believe that that is because of Sophia Natura. Okay, Sophia Natura means nature's intelligence. And when I say nature, I'm referring to that higher power, that being, that thing, whatever you like to call it in your faith, that being that basically creates all things. I believe that that being's intelligence is within all of us. And so our emotions are sort of like a GPS system that we can then depend on to reflect back to us the truth of where we are on this journey of life. So, for example, if we were to get a cut on our body somewhere, right? We trust our body's innate ability to heal itself. We don't feel like we need to give it instructions or tell it what to do. We just literally watch as a scab forms and the body just does what it does, right? Or for us women, when we find out that we're pregnant, we don't sit around and micromanage our pregnancies by telling our bodies how to make a baby, right? Or how to form a baby. Our bodies have this innate intelligence built in that automatically knows what to do, and we trust our bodies to do it, right? That is the same thing when it comes to our emotional intelligence system. We can trust it because we didn't come up with it ourselves. We didn't build these bodies that we're in. Yes, we're in them. We're totally experiencing them, but a lot of us don't even have any idea or clue as to how these bodies work, right? That's why the most of us, we outsource that job to our doctors and our physicians and all the professionals, right? Because we don't really know. We just know that it works and we trust it. The emotions are the same way. But of course, many of us have not been taught to look at our emotions that way. In fact, most of us are taught that emotions are weak. Oh, women, they rule by their emotions. They wear their emotions on their sleeve. Like, there's all these negative sayings and connotations out there about emotions. And so we take that on, we internalize that, and we begin to think that we are weak if we express emotions, if we give attention to them. But I'm here to tell you, we need them. It's a part of the intelligence of our body and how the body works. And so yeah, they are little messengers, and if we don't open them up, if we don't open these notifications, get the message so that they can be cleared, it will cause issues for us later. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. But yeah, so looking at this other part here on the screen, we have this road, right? This is the road we call life. And I'm looking at the lines in the road to sort of represent us being in alignment with our lives and what we want for ourselves. So you have one line which is representative of your life, okay, in my example here, y'all. And the other line is your choices. So what ends up happening, you have the things that you believe to be true to yourself, the things that you want for yourself, which is represented by the my life line on the left. But then you have the choices that you are making that will either align with what you want for your life or it will be out of alignment. Well, your emotions are the thing. They're the system. They're the thing that indicates and tells you whether or not you're in alignment. So, this way, you're not talking yourself out of what you're feeling and validating yourself. You can't. This is what I mean when I said we can catch ourselves in the lies we tell ourselves, because no matter what you may try to convince yourself into thinking, your emotions are going to reflect the real, true, honest feelings about a thing. Okay. So they are the indicators that let us know whether our choices and the decisions we're making, our thoughts, and our actions are actually in alignment with what we say we want for ourselves. And when they aren't in alignment, The emotions are the thing that interrupts, like, excuse me, like when you are listening to your favorite song and your GPS interrupts, the volume goes down and everything, right? That's basically how our emotions act in our life. When we are out of alignment or something has disrupted our flow, our energetic field, our beliefs and our reality, our emotions are the thing that goes ding ding ding, something isn't right here, boss. Something isn't lining up. And when we don't pay attention to that, we end up continuing with life, and then we start seeing the manifestations of us not dealing with the emotions, such as frustration, feeling unfulfilled in life, things like that, right? Because we have not been listening to our inner GPS to tell us whether or not we are in alignment with what we believe to be true for ourselves. So I hope that makes sense. So building emotional intelligence and emotional literacy helps us to begin to learn how to respond to our emotions as the messengers they are, instead of being controlled by them. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into what happens when we skip the processing phase, when we don't pay attention to our emotions. All right. First off, it's going to create a buildup of emotional stress. We will begin projecting onto others. And that's where we get that saying, hurt people hurt people. Right. And we can also potentially manifest or create disease, or illness for ourselves. Okay. So have the etymology of disease, both used as a noun and a verb here. So when we're talking about disease is discomfort, it's inconvenience, it's distress, trouble, sickness, to make uneasy, inflict pain, to have an illness or infection. Okay. And I have two quotes from Dr. Gabor Mate. He is so awesome. He is such a pioneer in the fields of trauma and dealing with healing traumas. But we're going to start with this bottom quote first. And it says, not all stress. Oh, no. Actually, let's start with the top one. The top one says, in the realm of the body, physical illness is the end stage of a process that begins with emotional and spiritual discontent or disharmony. Okay? In the realm of the body, so we're talking about the body here, physical illness is the end stage, meaning the end result of a process, right? We learned what process was, a journey that begins with the emotional and spiritual discontent or disharmony, meaning there's no flow. Okay. So, what he's saying is that the root of all physical illness starts from an emotional and spiritual space. Okay. And now, if we look at that second quote, not all stress is harmful. Okay. There is distress, which is harmful, and there's eustress, which is the necessary stress for without which life would be dull. So we're not talking about the stress that gets us motivated, like our adrenaline. Okay. What we're talking about is distress. And distress is one of the terms used in the etymology to define disease, right? That's the first line at the top: discomfort, inconvenience, distress, and trouble. So essentially, what Dr. Gabor Mate is saying here, that when we are in a place of distress for too long, remember, because it's disease is the end stage of that process. So that means that if we are in a state of stress for too long, we are in our fight or flight stress response state for too long, that will begin to cause issues for us. Okay. So, by ignoring our emotions, not processing our emotions, we then cause disease in our body, disharmony. We inflict pain upon ourselves when we do that. Okay. So it's very important not to skip phase two. Okay. If you need help figuring out how to process your emotions, I definitely cover this in my coaching program, and I would love to help you. There will be some information and links in the description box for further information on how you can get in contact with me and how I can potentially help you through this. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that it was enlightening and inspirational and educational for you. Be sure to follow me on the socials, y'all. My Instagram is where I'm most active, and my handle is at Miss Jerry B. That's at MSJERI and then the letter B. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.